Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reboot Roundtable, the only, one of the mini shows that talk about reboots, rewrites, and sequels of classic fictional franchises. I am Connor, and I am joined, not today by my little friend, but instead by Cove.
Guys, I killed him.
Cove killed him, guys.
finally
This is
took out
canonical.
Jay.
This is canonical. And CJ.
Unfortunately,
How are you doing today, CJ?
Oh, CJ here.
Doing great. I'm doing great.
Are you really,
ready to
though?
start
Are you really
the
doing great,
podcast.
CJ?
I'm doing well enough to stir the pot.
That's crazy. That's an absurd way to phrase it, but I respect it.
Always aim for the plot, CJ.
Always for the plot. For the plot. So yeah.
Always for the plot.
So this episode tomorrow, this will be the day after this video the day before this video comes out will have been election day, and we're obviously not going to touch that can of worms because obvious reasons. Hope you voted. If you didn't, that's cool too. You know, I don't care. We don't care who you voted for, but we're going to talk about a very politically charged issue from comic books. That being the Marvel Civil War event, specifically Civil War 1, not the shitty sequel. We don't talk about that one. Yeah, so this is what the movie Captain America Civil War was based on. So before I give a brief synopsis of the event, Cove and CJ, what's your all's experience with Marvel's Civil War?
I watched the movie and I said, "Fuck you, Iron Man," and that's how I felt.
Okay, CJ, what about you? What's your experience with Civil War?
My boy Peter was the GOAT.
And
I
he
will
was.
die on that hill.
So neither of you have read the comic that movie was based on?
I have not.
No. Okay. So I'm gonna
Comics.
provide a brief summary of the comic event, because that will allow we get aspects of this in the movie, but I think it'll allow for a more in-depth discussion. So to begin with, the Marvel event Civil War obviously takes place in the comic universe where there's a lot more heroes, and basically a group of teenage superheroes who do a reality TV series go to stop some high-level criminals. Well, worse comes to worse, and one of the criminals self-destructs, killing everyone within a radius, including a lot of school children. This leads to the United States government deciding that superheroes need to register with the government, working as government liaisons, basically, as well as revealing their identity to the government. The Civil War event leads to Iron Man, who basically thinks we should placate the government, and Captain America, who says, screw that, we're standing on our own. The government don't control me. Yeah, I wear the American flag, but I stand for freedom, right? Very, very Steve Rogers being Steve Rogers. This, of course, leads to superheroes, some following Cap, some following Tony, with the main line basically being, should superheroes have to sign up to the government? Obviously, the mutants are like, that's not great. We've been having people try to do this for years. Kind of sucks. But the big interesting thing is Spider-Man sides with Iron Man. And this leads to Peter Parker revealing his identity to the world. And ends up leading to Aunt May getting shot and then his marriage getting retconned. But that's a separate issue. One More Day is a whole thing. But what it comes down to is the line in the sand. Team Captain America, Team Iron Man. Team Iron Man's team was made up of She-Hulk. She was like Iron Man's main second in command, if memory serves. Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, and Hank Pym, the Ant-Man. Captain America's team was mostly led by Cap, Luke Cage, and other characters of that nature. Interestingly enough, the Punisher tries to join Captain America, and Captain America basically calls him a murderer, beats the crap out of him, and the Punisher doesn't fight back because Captain America's a good person and Punisher won't hurt good people. Fun little thing I like to just reference because Captain America is a hero and the Punisher isn't. Talking to you, Punisher fans. So anyways, that is kind of the groundwork of the Civil War event. Based on that, Cove, would you be Team Captain America or Team Iron Man? Should superheroes register?
I am Team Captain America. You have the right of anonymous. You have the right to remain anonymous.
Yes.
It's one of your basic civil liberties. Like, it's part of like your constitutional rights almost. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Now, the argument obviously
breaks the law.
Obviously, Tony's team says, we're doing vigilantism. That's illegal. Probably should do it legally. But I think I'm with Team Cap as well. CJ, where would you stand?
Okay, so I understand they gotta follow the law, right? So hear me out.
Oh no.
Let's make it like a massively expanded neighborhood watch, except for the neighborhood is just Earth.
That's literally what they end up doing. It's called the 50
It
State
is.
Initiative, and it's what leads to the Skrulls taking over the world for a hot second.
I just
But
thought they just
for the sake
pasted
of
like
of plot, though, I'm gonna say I gotta go with Cap because honestly, skill issue on the government. Why would we let the government take things for us?
exactly.
Not the skill issue on the government. That's crazy.
Especially especially because half the time the superheroes
What the
end up
what the
fighting the
government gonna
government.
do
This is a
against
good point.
literally God of Thunder?
Yeah, no. So a fun fact: Thor is currently like during the Civil War event. I think Thor is dead at this point because of Ragnarok.
Not dead.
So Tony, Reed Richards, and Hank Pym decide to clone Thor and create a cyborg Thor called Ragnarok, who ends up murdering a character called Goliath. And it also leads to a bunch of superheroes being like, "Holy crap, Tony! You can't just murder people." You also
It's
get this
silly.
great line where Tony had to arrest a bunch of superheroes, and he arrests Daredevil, who, for those who don't know, very Catholic character. And
Also very blind.
he's also very blind, but he doesn't say a word during his arrest. And Tony's like, "Why aren't you speaking? You're a lawyer. You're always talking." To which Matt opens up his tongue and reveals a piece of silver and just says, "Here, for your troubles, Judas." And it's such a hard line. It's such a great line. But yeah, so what we're going to do today, now that we've provided framework, we're going to talk about some superheroes or other heroes that exist in urban fantasy-like environments. And we're going to talk about what side of the Civil War we think they would fall on. Cove, who would you like to start with?
Um, you know what? Let's go with Batman.
Ooh, okay. Batman, Bruce Wayne, paranoia incarnate. What are your initial thoughts on what side he would be on, Cove?
I feel like he is like the paragon for Team Cap. He is all about not having to have anyone know his name.
Yes, he's very identity hidden. He's also very not trusting of the government. And I think back to the Justice League Unlimited episode, I think it is, where the Justice League are like, "Yeah, we're going to go surrender to the government." And Batman's like, "I'm no longer a member of the Justice League. I'm not surrendering to the government." I think, yeah, I would agree Batman would probably be on this side. CJ, what are your thoughts?
I'm feeling like he's definitely going to go with Team Cap, but he's also going to be like, all right, look, if we're doing this though, we're doing this right. Our anonymity does not mean that like we are some off the books kill squad that can do whatever
Yes.
we please. We still have to have a moral code. But I do feel like he would definitely join Team Cap.
Yes. I could see
Yeah.
it a thing of two. I could see one or two of the Robins maybe going Team Iron Man. Um,
Oh, definitely.
I personally would assume kind of Jason Todd might go Team Iron Man, funnily enough. Because I think Jason would like the idea of eliminating Joker instead of just taking him to jail.
I feel like Jason would go to the Reds team specifically so that he'd probably find that it'd keep people more accountable.
Yeah, to stop children from being
Because
beat with crowbars.
I would say he's very
Funny
much the
guys.
like Red Hood as the anti-hero, as just like him, like barely laid out. He is a character who protects the people who are attacked by those who hide.
Hmm.
So the idea of a government registering all legal people, it just sounds like a list of him to watch out for. He'd
Yeah.
want that.
I guess that leads to the obvious question: what about Superman? What side do you all think he would be on?
Superman, I don't know. He's
Or
in
after
like
Metropolis.
Well, we're saying just classic heroic Superman, not
yeah, like
Injustice
if
Oh,
you
he's
Superman.
just
going
took
Team Iron
Super
Man.
You think classic
like
Superman
yeah,
goes
if you
Team
took
Iron Man?
Superman at a glance.
I do think he's going to go Team Iron Man.
I would actually
Why?
say no, but I am curious, CJ. What
I'd
is your
say
reasoning?
Because despite obviously him trying to keep his Clark Kent identity, hidden as him not being Superman, at the same time, I feel like he's too well moral. I mean, wasn't there an entire movie where he was actively arrested by the police and just like walked in with them?
So Superman tends to humor the government, but a lot of the time he doesn't just roll over for the government. Superman has been very anti-government before, especially when Lex Luthor becomes president throughout the comics.
That's fair. That's fair. I could see that.
I also think it's one of those things of what is Superman's motto? Truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. And I don't think Superman would fall on those ideas being. I don't see Superman just rolling over. I think if everyone in the world begged him to, he would. But I think if he saw the opportunity that it could lead to corruption, he would not do so. The one thing is, I don't think he would fight against Iron Man. I think it'd be a thing of he'd fly up in space and be like, you guys handle this. I'm going to keep saving lives, and I'll do whatever you all decide. I feel like that's where Clark would stand.
I don't know. I feel like he'd be pretty solid with Blue. Honestly, I feel like he'd stand beside Cap.
I think
If he was,
Superman's one of those characters who could really go any way. I think it could be argued any side with him.
I don't, I
Well, you
don't
also
think
look at
so.
like the collateral damage and such. Like at least going based off the movies, there was a very loud public outburst against the Avengers and the damages and the lack of accountability for the
Yes.
casualties, etc. So I feel
Yeah,
like
no,
with
the
that
way that they
massive
wrap
public
it up.
outcry, Superman likely could go that Iron Man route just because there would be so many people that would be saying, "Hey, you gotta take some accountability for this shit."
Yeah, that could very well be a thing, too.
That would be against the Superman also uses his identity as Clark, he uses Superman as a means of protecting the ones that he loves.
I think
People
an
who know
important thing
Clark Kent.
the important thing I think to point out here is, like, for Clark Kent, for Superman is just a character he plays. Clark Kent is the real person. You know what I mean? So I think for him,
Exactly.
as long as he gets to just be Clark, I don't think he's gonna really care. I think for him, like, he doesn't care if people know who he is. He does that so he gets to just be human. And so for me, I could see it really going again. I think it could go either way with Superman. I do personally think he would probably be on Team Cap, but that's just because Team Caps are the good guys. Just saying. But yeah,
I still think he's strongly Cap.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't see him saying that people would have to register with the government because if Red goes through, it'd be a mandatory thing.
yeah,
And I don't think he'd stand for that obstruction
yeah,
of
yeah.
autonomy.
Especially with people like Amanda Waller in the government, like it's not a thing of where he's the most trusting of the government.
Exactly.
But moving on from Superman, CJ, who would you like to discuss where they land that fit into this kind of environment?
Let's go with Mr. X.
Mr. X.
Mr. X.
Or Professor X, I mean.
Oh, like so from the Marvel Universe, where did Charles Xavier land?
Yeah.
So if memory serves, I think Chuck was currently in space during this event.
Let's snatch him up from space. Where would he go on this war?
If he was present.
Yeah, so I think because the X-Men basically stayed out of the fight. I think except for Wolverine, they were all like, "We'll do whatever you all decide. We're not fighting other heroes."
Yeah.
I could see. Okay, hot take. Charles Xavier is kind of an asshole, right? He is a symbol of like utility, like unity and heroism, but he's perfectly willing to mind whammy someone if they're getting out of line, right? Like he does not care.
He will.
And he was also part of the Illuminati, which was the Marvel's Illuminati, who like did some really sketchy stuff. I could see Charles very easily going Team Iron Man with most of the other Illuminati members.
I don't know enough about Professor X to talk on this character. I know that he's like the main dude for X-Men, and is that the one with the wheelchair?
Yeah, bald wheelchair played by Patrick Stewart.
Isn't that isn't he have you haven't seen the new Wolverine Deadpool and Wolverine movie,
I have.
have you? Oh, have
Ooh, then I have an
is
idea
he
for another
related to that
character
one
then.
chick who
Yeah,
like sticks her hand in people
that is
and wiggles
his
her finger around?
twin. They were twins, and she tried to kill Professor Xavier in the womb, and he killed her instead.
I feel like Professor Xavier would definitely go on Red then, just knowing that that girlie would definitely go on Blue.
What is her name? Cassandra Nova, I think is what her name was.
Cassandra Nova,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like she'd
Didn't
be
he
like,
open
yeah,
up
no,
that
I keep
entire
my
house,
anon.
keeping people secret? Like even the special or gifted people or mutants
Yeah.
identities. So he opened that whole building, keeping them completely anonymous.
It was a thing of it was their choice. He was never a fan of like signing up, but if he thought it would allow for equality and for mutants to quit being hunted, I think he would be willing to to at least consider it. Obviously, Magneto would not. Magneto would very easily be against it. Because I don't remember if Magneto's involved in the Civil War event. It's been a while since I've read it, but I feel like he would have been very against it if he was in the event. So I want to dive into, and I don't know how knowledgeable you are, you all are of these. Where do you all think Percy Jackson would stand if he existed in this universe?
Oh, I so know. Listen, he loves the color blue, and Captain America's blue too. So, blue on blue, Percy's going that way. He is a character who loves the idea of making your own choice.
Yes,
He would never go to a team where he believes that people will be forced into doing something they're unwilling to do.
but along that
Ever.
line,
Even if that's for the betterment of the people.
hot take, I think Annabeth would be on Team Iron Man.
Why?
So one of the things we like at least at the end of like the story, Annabeth is all for freedom and doing her own thing. But I think if she saw like if she existed in the Marvel universe, I could see her being like, yeah, we need rules and regulations. Um, but along that same line, my brain now thinks about it. It really would probably be Camp Half Blood would all be on the side of Cap, and I could see Camp Jupiter being on the side of Iron Man. In all honesty, that's how it would probably end up.
Yeah, honestly, because I feel like Camp Jupiter was more in tune with the whole rules and
Well,
regulations
they
of
were
being a
Romans.
Roman
They were
legionary.
Romans. They of course they were.
They were Romans. They care about rules. They care about making sure that everything is fair and just. And the Greeks don't care about that
Damn,
ever.
throwing shade on the Greeks for not caring about if things are
No,
just.
no, not the ancient Greeks,
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
but like they they're like it's like chaos and non-chaos. Chaos likes chaos.
So
Non-chaos likes
so
non-chaos.
let's go with this. Who are some characters we think would be on Team Iron Man?
Just broadly.
Yeah, like who are some characters like throughout non-Marvel fiction that you all think would side with Team Iron Man in these circumstances? Because there's a lot of characters I say
He
would side with Team Cap, but who do you all think are heroes who would side with Iron Man?
heroes who'd side with Iron Man.
Obi-Wan
Who-
Kenobi.
Okay.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan
actually,
Kenobi,
hold up. Yeah,
Obi-Wan.
real talk. The Jedi Order would definitely be Team Iron Man, and
Um,
Anakin would be Team Cap. Let's be honest. Like that's how it would. That's how
Yeah.
it would lay. Um.
before regulation.
Yeah. Like like going through like classic fictional characters, I think the Ninja Turtles would obviously be anti-regulation. They would probably be on Team Cap.
Yeah.
Um, I could see like again, I'm just going with like random members of fiction. I could see your characters like if Harry Potter was in this circumstance, he'd be on Team Cap. That's obvious. Like there's some of those.
All Might would be on Team Red.
Who?
All Might.
All Might. Okay, so this is going into some anime stuff. You say All Might would be on Team Iron Man. Explain.
Yep. I feel like he is someone who just, as a character, he is an extension of the government, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like All Might is the American government. What the American government is, All Might is meant to be a direct reflection of, may that be good or bad. And
The
I think
American
that,
government in Japan.
yeah, and the American government in Japan, because why not? He wants to do what is best at all times, even if what is best isn't what's good for everyone. And I feel like he'd go for Iron Man strictly because he'd feel like that'd be the way to keep the world the most safe,
Along that same line,
regardless of how the world feels of that.
yeah. No, that's a fair point. I was gonna say along that same line, hate the show. I will always try to speak badly of it, but the boys, Homelander would definitely be Team Iron Man because he's an asshole. Um,
Who also be Team Iron Man?
like if we go with like Invincible,
Um,
Invincible would be Team Cap, I would assume.
yeah.
At least early on, I could see later on he becomes Team Iron Man with some of the stuff that happens in the comics. But I actually would love to hear that in the comments if y'all have read Invincible or have watched any of the show, what are your all's thoughts? Where did Invincible land? I think that's a big thing too. I would actually love to hear what people say in the comments. Who are characters that they think would be on Team Iron Man? Because it's hard to think of. Like, there were heroes obviously on that side. She-Hulk is a great example of a character who was on that side. But it's also really hard because a lot of heroes are anti-authoritarian, like fuck the government.
Government. Like, they all eventually go toe to toe with the government.
At
So it's
least
hard
once.
to pick out a hero who would be like, yeah, let's do government.
Yeah, let's regulate stuff. Woo! Yeah,
Exactly.
regulation.
Administration, like, okay.
Well, are there any other anime characters? I'm obviously not very versed in anime. Are there any of those characters that you two jump to that you all think would fall in that line?
All right, anime, and like anime heroes specifically.
Well,
or
yeah, because
anyone
we're
who
assuming
can
it's like
scrap.
anyone who would be involved and take a side. Because obviously villains are going to be like, no, we're going to do what we want. But like, where do you? Okay, let's go. I haven't seen it. CJ, I think you have. One Punch Man. Where would he stand on this?
Oh, well, he would 100% go Iron Man side because
Yeah.
in that world,
Mm-hmm.
now for one, he says that he's just a hero for fun, but being a hero in that universe is actually like a government job where they work alongside police.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like already an enacted thing. So going the cat side would be basically breaking that norm. But I feel like he also doesn't care enough to
That's
want to
fair.
go do that because he's like he only took on the hero job because it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's bored because he just one taps everything. I feel like Saitama would definitely go with the Iron Man route.
Yeah. And I feel like my understanding of anime, I don't think like Goku would really care one way or the other.
Goku wouldn't care. How well do you know the Hokage, CJ?
I do not watch Naruto. I refuse to. I tried to suffer through the first
Why?
season and wanted to blow my
Why?
skull open.
That's such an
Holy
awful
crap.
opinion to have. Naruto is so
Naruto
good.
is ass. It's
No, it
ass.
is not. I will
Hot
die
take in
on
the
this hill.
comments. Is Naruto good or bad? Because
Okay,
Jay's been
Naruto's
trying to
good.
say that I'd
Naruto's
enjoy
One
Naruto
it.
Piece
Shippuden
logic.
sucks.
I'm
But
gonna
yeah,
follow
no,
this
no.
One Piece logic. If it takes 600 episodes to finally start getting good, it's not a good anime. I'm sorry. And also, screw you with
Oh,
One
It's
Piece.
good from the
Oh
start.
my
say the
goodness,
same
it's such
thing
a
about
hot
One Piece.
take.
This
I
thing does
love
actually
it.
go down.
Yes,
Same
CJ,
thing
make the
about One
fans
Piece.
angry. Make them not want you back on the
No.
podcast. Yes.
CJ, listen, if you're there, at least Jay isn't here right now, guys. That's all. You know what
That's
that is?
fair.
No.
That's a good point.
I say the same thing
Um,
about One Piece.
So the thing here, okay, here's a fun one. Out of thought, where would Ash Ketchum be? Would he be Team Cap or Team Iron Man?
What do you
Team
mean?
Iron
Ash
Man.
Ketchum is getting bodied in the first fight.
I mean, he's going
It doesn't
he's going
matter.
Team Cap. He's going Team
You think
Cap.
so? You think so? You think he's anti-government? You think he's like, nah, you can't regulate my Pokemon? Like, it's been years
I
since
feel like
I've
his-
seen
I-
Pokemon.
Man.
I feel like
Kind of a little funny.
he,
No,
Ash
we're
Ketchum-
ending
Ash
that right
Ketchum
now.
is- What?
Don't even worry about it. We're moving on. We're trying to be a more.
I want to know though.
We'll talk about it after. Okay, we're trying to be a more family-friendly
Okay.
podcast.
Oh, I'm the wrong
I
person
guess
to have
we
on
can
for
be
that.
friendly.
But yeah, no. So I think we kind of covered a lot of the big heroes. I guess we'll just do a bit of a shorter episode today. But I hope you enjoyed it at home. Unless y'all have anyone else we want to discuss, do we?
I not particularly. I don't have
Yeah.
anyone that comes to mind.
That's awesome. So yeah, that was our thoughts on the Civil War event a little bit, a bit on the characters we think would side with it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you had a good election day, and however the outcome was, I hope you're doing okay. With that, we're gonna say see you later.
Peace.
Goodbye.